Hi there, it's Scott Nicholson, Associate Professor at Syracuse University School of Information Studies. Today in the Gaming Libraries and course, we've got a guest speaker. We've got Beth Gallaway, who's here. She is going to talk about traditional reader's advisory for gamers. So how do you suggest books to gamers based upon their gaming likes? Beth, the floor is all yours.
Hi, I'm Beth Gallaway, and I'm here to talk to you about reader's advisory to gamers. I think there's other things we can do at the library to serve our gamers, besides doing collection development, circulating video games, or programs, board game night or video game night. Reader's advisory is an opportunity to reach those gamers without big time investments. It allows us to have conversations with gamers about what they're playing, which builds relationships. So really this is a community building activity. What is reader's advisory? I think of it as the art of connecting readers with books. And I want to make it really clear here, before I go any further, that I'm not talking about a bait and switch. We're not talking about come for the games and stay for the books, because games are perfectly valid in their own right as materials for libraries to collect and program around. So a little bit about reader's advisory. I love to play the game The Sims, and the new one, The Sims 3, comes out in June. I think June 3rd, actually. When I had just changed from a library job to a consulting job, I went and checked out a stack of books about Frank Lloyd Wright and blueprints and home design. And when I went to the circulation desk, the librarian said, "Oh, Beth, are you building a house?" And I said, "No, this is for my video game, The Sims. I want to look at the blueprints and design some houses that look like the ones in the book." Well, they probably thought that I was totally crazy, but it got me thinking, what kind of books appeal to gamers? There's probably no universal, because games are a lot like books, and that each one has unique characteristics that appeal to different players for different reasons. So, what is the gaming and reading connection? Let's take a look.
Connecting gamers with books isn't meant to be stereotypical. Reader's advisory to gamers isn't about making gross generalizations or assuming that someone who enjoys the video game City of Heroes will also enjoy the spin-off novels. Youth seem to be especially platform agnostic, but often fans of any age who enjoy a specific franchise, whether it's Star Wars, Harry Potter, or Naruto, may take their story in any format they can get it, moving seamlessly from television to novel, to graphic novel to film, and even on to composing their own fan fiction, drawing their own fan art, or producing fan podcasts. Often, books based on games or games based on books are created solely for merchandising to a mass market audience, rendering them inauthentic and low quality. There are always exceptions. The tabletop role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons by Wizards of the Coast evolved from Tolkien's Middle-earth and spawned the book series Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms. American McGee's award-winning video game Alice by Electronic Arts is based on Lewis Carroll's classic children's novel The Adventures of Alice in Wonderland. So don't forget about cross-platform series, as well as support materials like strategy guides, art books, and even backstory novelizations. Think of reader's advisory as another type of reference interview. A customer may not be able to recall the last 3 titles read, the name of a favorite author, or even understand what you mean when you ask about favorite genres, styles, or themes. All tactics employed in a reference reader's advisory interview. Instead, consider asking about the types of stories the customer prefers, asking what types of movies they watch, television shows they enjoy, and games they play. Once you've determined a medium, conduct your reference interview. Begin with open-ended questions like, what kind of games do you play? What is your favorite game? If they mention a title you've never heard of, simply say, tell me more. Next, ask clarifying questions like, what do you like the most about that game? Is it more action or adventure-oriented? Do you prefer exploring or fighting? Do you think you'd enjoy a story that has a lot of mythology or a story that has a lot of battles? Finally, based on these responses, you can make a suggestion, not a recommendation. Recommendation implies endorsement and that you have read the book. You don't have to have read the book to suggest it in a reader's advisory transaction. Use words like may or might. Be upfront about whether you've read it or not, and direct the patron to further resources so they can conduct their own research. Places like LibraryThing, Goodreads, Shelfari, even Amazon may provide them with opinions other than yours that can help guide their next reading material. Make sure that you clarify which elements the game and the book have in common. Not sure what elements to focus on? Plot, setting, and character are literary elements that both book-loving librarians and game enthusiasts are familiar with. In the digital game Katamari Damacy, the plot is that your father, the king of all cosmos, has accidentally deleted all the stars from the sky, and you, the prince, can restore the constellations by rolling a sticky ball called a Katamari over ordinary household objects. The goal is to grow your Katamari to a specific size within a time limit. The king is quite a character. He speaks in the royal we and says very funny things. The setting is the familiar planet Earth, but as the tiny prince, you get a unique mouse-eyed view of everything until your Katamari grows. People who enjoy Katamari Damacy may like the unique plot, the Japanese stylings and soundtrack, or the silly dialogue, and depending on which element they prefer, that's going to flavor the suggestions that you make. People who like the unique plot may enjoy experimental fiction. Books like Naked Lunch by Burroughs or Trout Fishing in America by Brodigan. People who enjoy the Japanese stylings might like Japanese culture or manga. We can apply this reader's advisory concept to analog games as well. In the card game Grave Robbers from Outer Space by Z-Man Games, the plot is that the players are making a B-movie by collecting and playing character, prop, and location cards. Not only can they add elements to their storyboard, they can attack elements in other players' movies in order to kill off their competitors' characters. Special effects cards can modify attacks in all kinds of wacky ways, but when the roll the credits card is played, the player with the most points wins. Gamers may enjoy Grave Robbers from Outer Space because of its unique premise, its campy themes, or its sci-fi horror theme. So what kinds of books might we suggest to folks who like this game? It's so heavy on the film theme, perhaps film criticism, screenwriting, biographies of actors or directors, a how-to book on filmmaking, all may apply. So might book plots centered on the entertainment industry, or maybe they just want zombie books, like Breathers, A Zombie's Lament by S.G. Brown, or Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies by Jane Austen and Seth Grahame-Smith. Remember that people enjoy particular books for any number of reasons, and the same is true of gamers in their games. If a customer tells you they enjoy City of Heroes, they may be enjoying the action genre, the heroic theme, the good vs. evil play style, or even the costume design elements, more than the questing. So, you might suggest superhero novelizations or graphic novel spin-offs, superhero fiction, biographies of real-life heroes, a story about people with special supernatural powers, or even a self-help guide to acting heroically in daily life. You might choose to focus on genre, style, and theme, because these are all terms used by the games industry. Puzzle is a genre of analog and digital games. Characteristics of puzzle games include problems to solve and employing logic, reasoning, and critical thinking skills. Somebody who enjoys a game like Hasbro's Picturica might enjoy Highlights for Children, Games Magazine, books like Where's Waldo or I Spy, optical illusion books, all with strong visual literacy to them. Or they might enjoy novels that involve figuring out puzzles, like mystery or suspense titles, Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code, or the futuristic forensic series In Death by J.D. Robb. People who like Nancy Drew Legend of the Crystal Skull may be big Nancy Drew fans and enjoy all the different incarnations of the Nancy Drew series. Mystery, thriller, and travel could also apply here. Role-playing is a specific style of gameplay that's heavy in characterization, and again, we have examples of both digital and analog games. These games often have epic settings and good versus evil themes. They tend to be fantasy in nature, but they could be historical or science fiction as well. In role-playing games, the players take on a specific persona, which they role-play consistently throughout their game. So there is an element of storytelling and acting, as well as the gameplay. People who enjoy World of Warcraft or Dungeons & Dragons may enjoy epic fantasy, historical fiction, Arthurian legend, fractured fairy tales, war novels. Again, you need to conduct the reference interview to find out exactly what they enjoy about the game the most, so that you can make an appropriate suggestion. Horror is a popular example of theme in video game. People who enjoy horror games might enjoy playing the undead, or they may enjoy slaying the undead. So you really need to do that reference interview to figure out which it is they prefer. In the digital game Left 4 Dead, you're hunting zombies, while in the role-playing analog game Vampire the Masquerade, you take on the persona of a vampire. Now, it's your turn. Strategy is another popular genre for both analog and digital games. Diplomacy is about acquiring real estate through tactical attacks, negotiations, and alliances, while Civilization is a historical-themed game that allows you to play through different ages of man. What are some characteristics of strategy games? Are there specific titles and authors that you can think of that you might suggest to people who enjoy strategy games? Settlers of Catan and The Sims are examples of analog and digital simulations. In Settlers of Catan, players struggle to be the dominant force on the Isle of Catan by building settlements, cities, and roads, while in The Sims, players can opt to do architectural and interior design or micromanage the lives of their characters. Both games are about resource management. What are other characteristics of simulations, and what specific titles or authors might people who enjoy simulations prefer? Historical fiction is another theme that's prevalent in both analog and digital games. In the Iliad, the setting is ancient Greece, while Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare is a World War II action first-person shooter. What are some characteristics of historical fiction, and what specific titles or authors might you suggest to people who enjoy historical fiction games? Finally, as you are conducting your reference interviews and reader's advisory transactions, don't forget about books that incorporate games or that are like games. Heir Apparent by Vivian van de Velde has video gaming as a plot. A girl gets stuck in an immersive, massively multiplayer online game while it's still in beta testing. Can she get out before she kills herself in real life? In Gamers, writers, artists, and programmers on the pleasures of pixels, people in the industry and who are just plain old fans write about their first game experiences. The Choose Your Own Adventure series follows games style. In each book, the story is presented with multiple paths to the end, and the player takes the lead in the storytelling by making choices at pivotal points in the plot, creating a unique story that either leads to success or to their demise. If you truly feel like you don't have enough knowledge of games to make any kind of reader's advisory connections, then you might consider asking the gamers in your community to give you a hand. They can create book lists or displays, everything from play the game, read the book, to if you like this game, then you may enjoy these books. This creates passive reader's advisory opportunities that you can direct your patrons to. I hope I've given you some new and different ways to approach reader's advisory, and I wish you good luck in connecting your gamers with books.